Here is Bryce Dole, and George, you can.
Call the meeting to order. We'll dispense with the flag salute. I note for the record that Commissioner Schaefer is online from a undisclosed cool location. So, the first item on the agenda is a temporary ban on the use of fireworks in Umatilla County. Order number BCC 2021064. Doug, would you read that to us?
Okay, this is under the authority of ORS 401-309. The Board of Commissioners can declare a state of emergency in Umatilla County and establish procedures to prepare and carry out any activity to prevent, minimize, respond to, or recover from an emergency. Whereas on April 20th, 2021, the Board of Commissioners declared a state of emergency in Umatilla County due to the drought. And also on June 8th, 2021, the Board of Commissioners placed a temporary ban on all open burning within areas of the county. And whereas today, Governor Brand declared a statewide state of emergency due to the imminent and ongoing threat of wildfire. So due to the drought, heat, deteriorating situation, fire warning, and weather watches, and the need to prevent uncontrolled burns, additional steps must be taken to prevent and minimize the emergency. So therefore, the Board of Commissioners orders that, number one, in order to preserve public safety and water resources and to minimize the state of emergency, use of any and all fireworks as defined by ORS 480.111 within the unincorporated areas of the county outside of the Umatilla Indian Reservation is prohibited. A violation of this order will be subject to a Class A civil infraction enforceable by the Umatilla County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 338, and any other civil and/or criminal penalties, sanctions, and liability by law. For purposes of this order, use includes lighting, exploding, or igniting in any way. Number 4, fireworks displays approved by the Umatilla County Sheriff and the Oregon State Fire Marshal are exempt from the restrictions of this order. Number 5, use of fireworks that are illegal under state law continue to be prohibited at all times. Number 6, this order will remain in effect until such time as the emergency is over, or September 30, 2021, whichever first occurs.
Questions?
I would move for strong support of this, with comments after the second.
I will second the motion, and also I want to make it clear that we don't want to restrict people from having their fireworks. We just want to have them do it when it's safe to do so. Clearly today is not that day, or neither will the 4th of July.
No, we're not banning the sale, but we're banning the use.
Exactly. I have to admit that I've only been a commissioner for 6 months, but I've received more correspondence, communications, and phone calls on this issue than any other issue we've discussed since. And the fear is real. As a property owner, it scares the heck out of me. As a citizen, it really scares me. In regards to the rest of the public, it's just a accident waiting to happen. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to enforce this to eliminate all of the actions that will happen over the 4th of July, intended or unintended, but at least we will have some recourse, and I think that's very, very important. That our sheriff has the tools to be able to react to what does happen on the ground.
What it does cover is the most vulnerable areas of the county. It covers the forests, it covers the cropland, it covers the rangelands, the pastures, and we can at least try to protect those. I know our wheat farmers are going to suffer devastating losses from what I hear. Just terrible losses to their wheat crop. I know that those who have livestock are in a disaster condition with regard to the availability of feed and forage. And, they just could not handle yet another crisis in this county. We've had all kinds of different events, unprecedented events almost, and we just cannot add another.
And also with exactly what you said, Chairman Murdoch, but in partnership with our other partners, not just the local municipalities, but the USFS, BLM, and other federal agencies, the ban really kind of coincides and marries up with what is also out there. The one area that kind of scares me that I haven't seen anything from is the Pentagon with the Army depot. As someone who's lived through a couple of pretty major fires at the depot, and being a huge part of Umatilla County that we haven't heard from, that really does worry me. Not that there's a lot of people out there doing fireworks or anything else, but I know that the Pentagon in the past has actually shut down the firing range and other things out there. So hopefully that's being done too at this time.
I'm anticipating, I have gotten a number of calls from municipalities suggesting to me that they may well be, some or all may well be following suit. They're very interested in what we're doing. Each day, the list of places, counties, and cities throughout Oregon is growing. So I think others might be following suit. So, Commissioner Schaefer.
So, I've heard from numerous fire chiefs, as I'm sure you two have as well, encouraging us to take exactly this action. So I think it's a good move, and it's one we didn't take lightly, for sure.
No. All right, any additional discussion? We'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye? John?
I said aye, I think I was covered.
Oh, right. Okay, what else do we have?
Okay, then the other items on the agenda is, on the other emergency declaration, for COVID, the proposal is, it will be expiring July 7th, but due to the fact that the, governor has, lifted the restrictions starting tomorrow, the recommendation is to go ahead and follow suit and, in the declaration of emergency due to COVID in Umatilla County, July 1st as well.
I would move that we lift our COVID emergency order, and have it, I guess we wouldn't say expire, have it.
You can just adopt the order.
Perfect. Due to COVID-19, I move that the board declare, or that
Adopt the order.
adopt the order, but again, I'm trying to,
Doesn't it, I'm sorry, does it say order number?
it does, I was just making sure I had a handle on the order. I move to adopt, BCC order 2021-063.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes,
Go ahead, John.
I thought Commissioner Murdoch was asking for a second, and I was just
No, I'm
reiterating my second.
Discussion.
My question, do we lift this, we still have to follow OSHA guidelines, right?
That is correct. That's the
Perfect,
next
that's the
item.
only clarification I need.
That's the next item on the agenda.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That has effectively, ended the county's part of the emergency. We still have to deal with the state.
Gotcha.
And that is the COVID restrictions. So that's the next item on the agenda, how the county wants to deal with the, COVID restrictions. The governor has lifted all the restrictions effective tomorrow. However, OSHA's rules are still in place, that place limits on, physical distancing and mask use, along other, restrictions. And we do have word that OSHA plans to lift those today, but as far as the mask and distancing, we do not have any written confirmation yet. So any action taken by the board would have to be conditioned on OSHA's concurrence. But there are other items that the board needs to address that were implemented to respond to the emergency. That included, not only the OSHA requirements, but, travel restrictions and the closure of the courthouse.
So there's really not a motion to make until we get done discussing where we want to go. A couple of things, that I had in my notes. One is, not just what Doug just mentioned, the travel restrictions and the closure of the courthouse, but how do we handle public meetings? Do we continue, with virtual meetings, or is it hybrid? And how do we handle, other outside meetings? Are we allowed to participate in, or is it encouraged to do it hybrid or do it in person? Kind of documented. So those are a couple of things that I would also like to hear us discuss. My opinion, I'm a big believer that I would like to see the no public access signs come down in the courthouse. They're in the county building. I think it is the public's building, as you hear at the state capitol and in Washington DC, it is the public's building. But with that said, I think legitimate business, is order of the day to use the building. I think legitimate public, business. As far as the travel, I would like to see all county employees get back to being able to be educated, take advantage of certification opportunities, updates on, industrial and association news. I would like to see that become the norm again, even though I haven't never seen the norm. I would like to be able to see the norm, and hopefully that we get back to that quickly. Those are my comments.
I'm certainly in favor of it now. I wasn't originally, but am now in favor of single point of access and keeping the security in place, on the first floor as a permanent installment, rather than, I believe it was put in temporarily, was it not?
Yeah.
And so, I believe we should make that permanent. I also believe that we need to continue seeking funds as we have for additional remodeling, at the front, to handle the security, which I now think is a good idea. I concur with Commissioner Doran relative to the fact this is a public building and they should have access for legitimate business. However, I think we should continue to encourage people to make an appointment so that they can be handled in an expeditious manner, and that we know the person who needs to deal with them will be there. So, was there another item?
I think it's something we'll probably need to discuss at a different time, but I think how we conduct our meetings, do we do away with virtual part and just record it and put it on as you had in the past, or you continue at a virtual level?
I'm in favor of the hybrid. We could do the hybrid in 1:30, can't we? Yeah.
But without.
I would think with the hybrid meetings, if we have better audio, you guys are pretty tough to hear, from where I'm sitting. And I thought I heard you say that the security and single point entrance was a temporary, setting, but it was my impression that when we did that, it was a permanent solution. So if it's not permanent, I would move that we make it a permanent.
Well, it's all part of,
fixture.
well, I think where we're headed in the motion, is it not, Council? Yeah. At this point, we're trying to get it included as a permanent installation.
The one thing I would mention there is that if that's the case in the county building courthouses, is that at Stafford Hemphill, there's only one security person And if you open the doors up to the public, you're gonna need 2 security people. You'll need 1 upstairs and 1 downstairs.
I think we've discussed that, have we not? I think, I don't know that we're excited about it, but I think we're aware of the fact.
I just from somebody that's.
No, we've discussed it. and
Okay, I haven't been in that.
It's inevitable,
I believe it's discussion with the sheriff.
Okay, so, I mean, we're aware of that, that would be part of this motion too, is both buildings, okay.
And I would reiterate the importance for the, making appointments to see certain, departments, like, records, for instance. I think it's a lot more efficient, and I think it would reduce a lot of the bottlenecks that we get in the hallway if we have, appointment times. I do like that.
You know, my opinion is that I don't think those should be mandatory, I think it should be encouraged, without a doubt. I have a lot of people that have tried to come in and see me since I've been a commissioner, but obviously the courthouse has been closed and they haven't been able to come in. Obviously, sure, they could pick up their phone and call to see if I was there or not, but I'd like to eliminate as many hurdles as possible for the public. That's my goal.
I'd like to believe that security eliminates many of the problems
Sure,
we've had.
that we never see, yeah.
Jennifer, you had your hand up.
I just wanted to add in terms of if you were gonna go with encouraging appointments, not requiring, but encouraging, maybe we could add a sentence that, reminds our staff to continue to provide great customer service and be flexible with, folks. So if you did have an appointment with records, but in the end also needed the assessment department, that there was not an appointment there, that both departments were keen to work together to handle the customer service needed for the public. So if that could just be part of whatever messaging gets out, I think that's important.
I think the fact that the legislature operated with the rest of Oregon locked out of the Capitol is absolutely something we certainly would not want to perpetuate here.
The one thing that Chairman Murdoch brought up, and I think it goes right with what Commissioner Schaefer talked about, is the one thing that I guess Stafford Hansel has to a degree, actually a fairly effective one, that this building doesn't have, is a lobby area with chairs and a table and a bench that you can actually either wait at or somebody can come out and talk to you at, without being in the middle of somebody else's business. But I think as we look at courthouses and this remodels, that we really put a strong emphasis on a place for the public to have to wait, if we don't want them, in the office areas waiting, because almost all, I guess the commissioners do to some very minimal degree, but I don't think any of the other offices that I've visited so far have lobby areas or waiting areas for people. And I think that as you talk about remodel, that some place for the public to feel welcomed into the county buildings is important.
I think we have a bench on either end, don't we? Bench here and bench down there. But I think we also had additional chairs in the lobby area that for some reason or another have been removed. There was even a table there, and I don't think any of that's there anymore.
But Stafford Hansel is a really good example.
Oh, it's a way better lobby than we had.
Of kind of a nice welcoming area without saying you don't go any further. But since I haven't been here, I haven't seen those things, so maybe there is a way to arrange our lobby area that it's usable, but, I think that I would like to see that.
There must have been a reason why we took all that out.
Yeah, I think it was to discourage people from loitering.
I think we also have some, biohazard issues.
Yeah.
Was that before
And
security?
again, it's a little tough to hear you guys, but if I'm understanding right, you're just trying to figure out why some of the stuff was removed. If I remember right, we had a display case with, I think, some rocks and everything else in it. And the gentleman who owned that display case, wanted to take it back. And so that was my understanding of part of the reason anyways.
I thought that was taken out for security, when the security was expanded.
There's still a display case, isn't there?
Oh, it's gone. It went away when the security got moved.
Well, there's something there.
There's several over across the street in storage.
Yeah, well, but there's plants or flowers or something over
Yeah, there's plans.
there. Okay.
Not to belabor it, it was a side note anyway, that I would like people to feel welcome to the building. And there's the whole, as Jennifer mentioned, there's a big difference between waiting and loitering. And, I think, security has a pretty good handle on that.
Well, security is stationed there, don't you think they can address loitering?
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue before was the security was on the second floor, and so it was much easier to hang out on the first floor and do things in bathrooms and other places because there was no stopping of that. But, it's probably much more uncomfortable to do so with security sitting right across from where you might be sitting in a chair in a lobby now, so.
Well, maybe we keep the restroom situation the same as it's been since I've been here, and then it won't be convenient for anybody.
No.
Well, I think, it's been my experience that there are a number of people on the second and third floor who do wait there. And I've seen them.
Yeah, there's lines, they have lines.
I know, I was scared to death, the ones on the third floor were waiting for the metro,
Yeah,
but they weren't.
at times they are.
Yeah. But I think maybe making it more accommodating now that, if we address the no loitering and the presence of security, that hopefully could handle, reinstallation of some chairs.
That would be nice. Again, it was a side note, it was, I need help on drafting the motion.
Well, I think, at this point, just to go through, you want to eliminate the restrictions for, county distancing and mask, travel, access to the courthouse, the keeping in, the recommendation for appointments, and that, public meetings will be, continue on a hybrid basis.
Okay, so you help me if I mess this up. I move that we eliminate the masks mandate, based on OSHA guidelines, right?
Right, we will have to wait until OSHA officially lists theirs before we can actually, allow, employees not to distance or mask.
Okay, I move to eliminate masks contingent on OSHA guidelines, the lifting of travel restrictions to the different departments in Umatilla County. Public, access will be reopened with a strong encouragement, for the setting of appointments with, departments and business-related items, and that the continuation of the Board of Commissioner meetings to be held in a hybrid fashion.
Did that hit all the points, Doug?
It did, and what date did you want this effective? Tomorrow?
Beginning July 1st, 2021. Again, with contingency of OSHA.
Okay,
I second that.
all right, additional discussion? All in favor, say aye. What else?
That's all that I have.
As a matter of record, at the staff meeting, I raised the question, we couldn't discuss it then, of my concern about closing roads. I believe it's been made clear that while that would be a good idea, it would be impractical to attempt to close roads because we may block access to the forest and other areas. So probably we are not in a position to move forward with that, is that? Plus, I think I'd be by myself.
I'm not, yeah, I am definitely not in favor of closing any roads, but following up on that with discussions again with our partners, with USFS and other, federal landowners, and in realization, many the majority of our, mountain roads, whether it be in the Government Road to Meacham Road, all of everything in between has a lot of connection to US, property that is not gonna be closed. And I'm ensure that we can close access to federal land, which would be another hindrance. I thought it was a great gesture. I thought it was a great, conversation, because what it did lead to was the reconfirmation, at least for me, is that ATVs are not allowed on county roads. And I think there's a lot of recreationalists, that are under the opinion that most mountain, county roads are open to ATVs at all times, and that is just not the case. And, I've had the conversation, as others have, with the sheriff department, that it will be a high priority for them to deal with, and pay attention to how those are being operated in the county. So I think it was a great discussion, and I appreciate it 100%.
Motion. Yeah, okay. I would move that we reaffirm, regulations regarding, the use of ATVs on county roads and on private property where they do not have permission to access. And that we encourage the sheriff to, expand patrols and, citations when necessary for those who do not abide by the rules, based upon current conditions.
I would second that motion, especially with, based on the current conditions.
John?
So I have no problem with that, but I'm almost wondering, do we need a motion for that, or I'm not opposed to the motion at all. I'm just curious, is that something we need a motion for, through liaison assignments?
Well, I think the benefit of the motion is that it becomes, a public notice to the media to reaffirm that.
The reaffirmation is always critical to me.
Well, like I said, I'm not opposed to the motion, so.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.